This is Hollywood and
Hello and
CBS
welcome back to
presenting
Fallout New
forecast
Vegas.
number
I
4.
have installed
Herbert Marshall,
one new
directed by
mod
Alfred Hitchcock in the first program
off
of the
camera,
proposed new
and that
series
is
entitled
the Electro
Suspense.
City Imaginator mod. Now, what this does is, it's not in the NB, but it does have similar effects to installing in the NB.
Tonight's
What
forecast
it pretty much
program,
does
ladies
is
and
I
gentlemen,
think it
represents the
sort of
ideal form
changes
of collaboration.
the contrast and
Mr. Alfred Hitchcock,
the
brilliant
different,
English
the
director of
colour
such outstanding motion
saturations and
pictures as
whatnot
The 39 Steps,
to make the game
Rebecca,
just look
Foreign
different.
Correspondent, was eager to create a very special type of radio drama,
so
the suspense
yeah, this
story.
is
As
what it looks
narrator
like
and
in
star for
vanilla.
his production,
No surprises.
he thought at once of the distinguished
But let me
actor
show
with
you
whom
this.
he had
It's
been
actually
associated
really
in countless
good.
British film successes, Herbert Marshall.
I'll
Mr. Marshall suggested that they
go to
dramatize a certain favorite story of his.
These are
And
pretty
that
much,
story
these
happened
three
to
are
be the
pretty
very
much
one Mr. Hitchcock had in mind. Mrs. Bella
presets.
Clown's classic in Chills,
So
The Lodger.
if you don't know what you're doing, then just choose from any one of these options. These other ones are just, fine tuning and adjustments for people who do know what they're doing, which I don't. So just to give you a
The
little
Lodger
demo,
is a work of fiction which
this is the one I
springs from
really
recorded
like.
facts.
It's the cool blue
A story
one.
which
Look at
begins in
that.
the year
It just
1888
makes
in
everything
London.
so much brighter.
A
I mean,
London
it's not just the
terrorized
sky.
by the fifth in a
Look at
succession
these
of
doors
recent
as well.
murders. It was
The
believed
reds
that
are
these
a lot
deeds were the work
brighter
of one person,
compared to before.
a tall, gaunt figure in a black
It
Inverness
just makes
cape,
it look really
carrying
nice.
a small, narrow bag.
Yeah, and you also have
That
other
meager
ones
description,
like
provided by a highly
noir, which
unnerved
is
witness,
pretty much black
was the
and
sum
white,
total of all that
as
was
you'd
known of the murderer.
expect.
It was enough, however, to keep
I
alive and
mean,
alert the
I
interest
couldn't
of all
imagine
London,
playing
of all those
the
in
whole
fine
game like
quarters,
this, but if you're
and
doing
all
some,
those in small, grimy houses,
some
as, for example,
special little
Ellen
video
Bunting.
or something like that,
Ellen
then it
was no
could come in
different from
handy.
all the other middle-aged housewives
It's nice to
dwelling
have
in
the
the great
option,
city's
even if
squalid
you
Whitechapel district.
don't
She knew all the known
necessarily,
facts of the case.
if you're
As
not
Herbert Marshall
necessarily
would tell you,
interested in it.
Ellen knew it was quite
I
proper
think
to
what we're
refer
going
to
to
this
do now,
wielder
though,
of the
because we
knife
have
as
completed the
the
New Vegas
Avenger.
Bounties mod, is try out the Inheritance questline from the same guy. This should be
Of course,
a bit
Ellen
more
Bunting was
interesting,
far more
I think.
concerned with her personal problems than with thoughts of the Avenger.
Well, it should be
Yet the
less
case of that
repetitive
strange,
than
elusive killer quite often forced all other
doing
matters from her
bounties
mind.
over and over, so
There was that
if
mad,
I'm not
meaningless
mistaken,
scheme he
the
seemed
quest
to
should
follow.
start now.
All his victims, for example, have been women.
Are you there?
Or
Yeah,
have
it
been
does,
young.
but Veronica
here
is standing
for
in
the
front of me,
And
so I
oddly
can't
enough,
see his face.
blonde.
Come close.
But Ellen could no more understand
Yeah,
the
there he
motive
is.
for his brutal slashings than could the police.
Yes.
This night,
This
she
guy.
and
I
her
recognize
husband,
you.
Robert Bunting,
A regular
sat before their
courier would
fireplace reading the
suffice,
newspaper
but
account of
you-
the latest murder.
Yeah, you got the best of the bunch,
Avenger
bro.
had
This
struck
is
again.
fortuitous. You're a person of many parts, aren't you?
I mean, I
As
think
Ellen
this
explained,
is.
he might be
I think this
Nothing like being
this
dug
mod
out of
sort of
a shallow
expects you
grave
to have done
give
the
you perspective.
main story quest already, but I haven't, so it might not make sense.
Look, it says here that this girl he got last night was
this
like all the
time,
others. Pretty, blonde, and,
everything
let's
you've
see,
done.
described
that
by
doesn't
her
matter.
friends as a very
Realize it.
light-hearted girl.
But
What a
you're
pity.
becoming the stuff
Do you want to stop
of
to think who fits that
legend.
to a T? In fact, fits all those
Whether
girls?
you like
Why,
it or
on my own
if
Daisy.
not
Oh,
for
that's a
my
horrible thought.
infirm
Well,
condition.
maybe it's a good thing she's with
He's
her aunt
apt
then
to
instead of
hear your
here.
take on
London ain't a
things.
safe place for any girl
You
right
have
now.
He's a
made
rambling
Just
old
the
man.
same, I can't help thinking how
the
fine it'll be to have her back
consequences.
in.
Now, Bunting,
I
you know that
did
Daisy
much the
seems
same.
just as much my own daughter as she is
Couriers
yours.
have a
I mean,
But
this
I'm
is just
telling you,
meant to
there's
be
no
a
sense even thinking about
simple
having her
delivery
back right
job,
now.
isn't it?
Trust.
We just can't afford it.
Oh,
I
I know
hope
that.
you will
Only, well,
maintain
well,
that
maybe we could
fidelity.
manage it some
I
way.
How?
want you to
Haven't
deliver
I
So we're
spent
heading
myself
back to
half crazy
Westside.
trying to
I
keep
think
it
I have
going?
another
But you don't care about that, do
quest
you?
at Westside
No,
as
your
well.
Daisy's more
In
important to you than
exchange,
I am.
I will pay you
But let's just
Oh,
do
I
this one
can't help
first.
if it don't. What are we
All
going to
up
do?
front.
Tell me that.
500 caps for
Oh, we haven't
a
had a
simple
lodger
delivery
for
job.
months.
I mean,
Nobody even comes to look at the
nice
room
and easy.
anymore.
It should be.
Work out a little.
Oh, they ain't never going to work out.
to Bradley.
Soon we won't even have a roof over our
So,
heads.
letter
I
is
have to find this
delivered.
Bradley
Oh,
person.
I'm
You are
sorry,
free
Robbie.
of any
I didn't mean to
responsibility.
take on
Oh, I know, dear, I know. It's all right.
I
Oh,
hope
I
this
didn't
will be
think
an
it.
end to
It's
things.
just that I've been so worried.
Well, don't you go
Right.
worrying another second, old girl. Why,
So
first thing you know,
that's
you won't be pretty
Joe
anymore.
Sellers.
You'll have your face all wrinkled
Now,
and
see
Now,
here,
come on now,
Bunty.
let's see a smile. Come on, just have one
Oh,
Gives
smile.
us the
but you
task
don't like
One
of
lucky you
delivering,
three.
I think it's a letter and a key to Bradley.
Who do you suppose that could be?
A later visitors, I...
Of course, I'm not expecting this to be as easy as that. I mean, that would be the most
Somebody looking
mundane
for rooms?
Well, you
quest
might be.
ever.
Want me to go to the door?
No, I'll go. You just stay here.
Yes, all right.
Yeah,
Now, be sure you get a
something's...
good look at the rings before you let them in, dear.
It's got to be a lot deeper than that.
I'm coming. Oh, I do hope it's...
Right, so this Bradley guy should be pretty near here.
Yes, sir?
Is it not true that you let lodgings...
I actually tried to record
Yes, sir.
this the first time,
Won't you come in, sir?
and what ended up happening was it got
Could
glitched out.
Could I take your key,
I'll tell you
sir?
what happened later on,
No,
and
I'm looking for a
but
quiet
let's
room.
just
It
hope
must
it
be quiet.
doesn't
Oh, we
glitch
have
out
that,
on us.
sir. Above all, our
So,
house
yeah.
is
I'm on
quiet.
duty.
Your bag,
If
sir.
you've
May I
got
take
something
it?
to
No,
say,
I'll hold it.
make it quick.
You'll be so good as to show me the room, please.
Oh,
Are you
yes,
sure
yes, sir.
All right.
It's right up
Give
the
me a
stairs,
second.
sir. This way.
Thank you.
Look at that. Oh, wow.
You see, sir,
That was
there's
brutal.
just my husband and me here,
I mean,
and we're ever so quiet.
Yeah,
And
whoever that
I'm
was
sure
got
you'll find this
flung
room
into
to
the
your
air.
liking, sir.
I don't
Here
know
we
how high
are.
that was. That was crazy.
Now I'll just light the gas.
So yeah, we're still using the Sweet Revenge revolver that
It
we
is pleasant,
found
isn't it, sir? And there's not many rooms
last
with
time
such pretty pictures.
when
Are
taking
there
on the
now?
bounties.
We've had them in the family for years.
I'm liking
sir.
it so
Things
far.
interest me very little.
The damage on it is
What
actually
very
pretty
impresses me
respectable.
about the room is the very simplicity
If
of
I
it,
can
the,
hit them, that
the
is.
bareness.
Yes, sir. It's not at all crowded, is it?
It will be quite suitable, Mrs.
Bunting.
Mrs. Bunting.
Wow, these
You see, I
guys,
do a great deal of
plasma
studying in my
repeaters.
book here. The Holy Bible.
There is
Yes,
quite
sir.
a lot of them.
Please, sir,
I think.
let me help with your luggage.
No, don't touch it.
Oh, but I only
Whoa,
Oh, you only
she's-
wish to help, of course.
I
You must
don't
forgive
know
me,
how
Mrs.
she
Bunting.
just lost all her
Just
clothing.
that
I mean, that doesn't make sense.
I'm so very weary.
Of course, sir.
He bringeth them to
Yeah,
their
she's.
desired haven.
It's probably a good idea for her to run away.
Beautiful words,
What are
Mrs.
you doing?
Bunting.
Indeed, they are, sir.
And now
I thought
at
she was gonna
last
start
I have found my
wailing on me
haven
now.
of rest.
Yes, sir. Then you'll be taking the room.
Let us see now. What are you going to charge me?
Right,
With
there's,
attendance, mind.
there's even more of
I
them.
shall be staying in most of the time, and I shall be wanting
This
meals.
is quite a
Oh, we can see to that, sir.
Then
big
does
battle.
30 shillings a
Yeah,
week
apparently I'm
suit you?
just completely missing them.
Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That will be
Basically,
quite all right.
Good, and I shall pay you in advance. My name is Sleuth, Mrs. Bunting.
Mr. Sleep.
Let's.
S-L-E-U-T-H.
No, that guy's going down anyway,
Think of a
so let's go
hound,
for this
Mrs.
guy.
Bunting, and you'll never forget
His
my
arm.
name. 3, 4, 30
Yeah,
shillings.
they're not tough. The
And I
game's
think I
just.
should enjoy a little
It's just spawning a
supper
load
now,
of them at
Mrs.
once.
Bunting. Bread and butter, perhaps. Could you arrange that?
Oh, certainly, sir. I'll do that now. And if you'd be requiring
He's
any
down.
beer
I think
or
there's
spirits...
one more.
Certainly not.
Oh,
Is
sir.
there?
What did I say?
I thought you understood me, Mrs. Bunting, and I had hoped that you
Yeah,
and your
he's
husband were
sort of
abstainers.
But we
retreating.
are, sir. We don't keep nothing about. I would have had to go out
Well, I've been
and...
hitting them.
Of course. Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Bunting.
Ah, come
I
on.
fear I spoke sharply. I don't wish you to think me rude.
Yeah, so
After
I don't
all,
know
you-
why I'm missing so much.
You've
I
been
mean,
so kind.
is the
Considerate.
crosshairs
I
just
hope I
not
know a
aligned
gentleman when I
properly?
see one.
Thank you.
I think that's the problem.
I'll
I mean,
just
I
hurry
don't
with this.
think my aim was that bad there. Oh, frame drop.
Ellie, did he take the room?
Don't bother me now. I have to get him to supper.
What did you mean?
Come to
So
touch my
what's
motor.
happening here?
He took the room?
Yes, we're all right
Oh,
now.
there's even more of them. Look at that. We must have killed about 15 of them, and there's still more.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Ellie, you see what this
goodness.
means?
Yes, you can have Daisy now.
Yes.
Here, Bunting, warm that teapot and put some tea.
Right. Yeah, do you know something,
Oh my
old girl?
god.
We're not going to worry too much about Daisy being in danger of that Avenger fella.
Whatever do you mean, Robert?
Well,
Yeah,
she's
it's
not a girl
much-
who takes a drink, you know.
What's that to do
This
with
is
it,
why I
please?
rely on
Something I read in the
VATS
paper while he was upstairs with the gentleman.
more.
They just found out that every one of the
It's not
Avengers
that the
victims
game's
had been
bad, it's
guilty.
just
They
the
figured he
shooting
must be some
mechanics
kind of a
compared to
rabid
other
obsession.
games just aren't as tight.
What a peculiar
Apparently I'm
chap.
missing this guy.
Now hurry,
completely.
Bunting, please.
Oh, this.
Two thoughts only governed Ellen's
Holy
mind.
crap.
The lodger's light supper and her own good fortune at having such a lodger. Mr. Sleuth was an eccentric sort, but then he was such a gentleman, so
So yeah,
quiet,
I mean,
so
it's-
very religiously inclined.
The first person shooting in it isn't that great. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is why they
Well,
put
we'll be
VATS in.
safe though once Daisy is back in London, eh? We'll see
And
if she
that's
stays
the
close into
bell.
the house. Well, I'll be downstairs. Hurry up with your supper, old girl.
And we're back. Sorry about that. That was I had to get the door because of some charity fundraising thing. So yeah, let's get back to it.
Those pictures. Those pretty girls. You've turned all their faces to the wall.
I don't even know how many there are left. Not a lot, I don't think. Is that the last one? Yeah.
And that maneuver,
So a lot of
that
loot
strange
here.
action was the beginning of
And
Ellen's
that was
concern.
like,
Soon there came to her a recollection of the black
yeah, that was
Inverness
like
cape,
battle of a
the
century
small
right
narrow
there.
bag, the urgent matter of alcoholic drink. And these details began to shape themselves into a pattern which grew more disturbing with each passing hour.
So where's Bradley
The
actually?
day following,
Yeah, this
the
was
lodger did not
when
leave the upstairs room once,
the quest
nor
sort of
did he leave the
glitched
next
out.
day.
Bradley just
And the
wouldn't
oddness
talk
of this
to me
took its
or
place in the
anything.
pattern. Then, too, the approaching arrival
So
of
let's
Daisy,
hope
her
that doesn't
stepdaughter,
happen again.
added
If
to
it
her
happens
concern.
again, then I
On
don't
the
even
second
know what
night,
to do.
her sleep was restless with vague, horrifying images. And so when she heard the first stealthy footsteps outside her bedroom,
Please
she
don't
was
bug
instantly
out.
awake.
Please.
God damn. I haven't seen that many raiders since I guarded a caravan passing through 80s territory.
She heard the front door open,
Right?
and then
After
it
that
shut.
little fracas, color
Utter
me
stillness
impressed.
fell upon the
Mood
house.
like, since we got a
Yeah,
little
that-
breathing
The
room,
street
I'd like
was
to
so
check
Come
out
on,
that
silent,
package.
the street
Yeah,
was
he
not
like
much as half a
last
mile
time he
away.
read it
See
out,
what it says.
he read the letter
Told the
out,
hour.
and then just sort of stopped
In her
after the
troubled frenzy,
sentence and just
she pictured a lone figure plodding through
refused
the
to
deep
do anything
fog,
else.
moving quietly,
When I wrote this letter, I was
stealthily,
unsure if I'd send
stalking, searching,
any choices
finding.
Yeah, it seems to be working now though, that's good.
question my decisions, how things turned out. We'll get to the point.
When, soon after she heard the lodger return, she sought to quiet the horrible dread which had possessed her. She assured herself that Daisy's arrival that day was no cause for
Looks
alarm.
like he's found his
Now she
father.
reasoned,
Shirk responsibility.
how could there be anything really evil about
On
so
the
religious a
contrary, I
gentleman as
became
Mr.
an
Sleuth?
exile to ensure your safety.
But for her there was no more sleep,
Not long after I
merely a
met your
tormented
mother,
state of
I was
half-consciousness,
on the losing side.
a state which suddenly
The
dropped from her
association
shortly
with
after
me
the
could
date.
be
He doesn't seem to he doesn't seem to bothered by that. I mean,
Horrible murder.
usually this
That
would
was
be
the
like an
pleasant scream of a
emotional
newsboy
moment
found
or
on the
something
street.
in a movie.
Ellen Bunting heard the boy cry out the Avenger's latest stroke, made during the night.
So let's see how he reacts. Yeah, he's just throwing in all these little jokes and stuff, but come on, it must hurt inside.
Make no mistake, this is not a simple salvage. You must walk a dangerous path to collect the means to access it. However, I believe your profession has given you the skills and
So
fortitude to see this through.
I now see why it's called the inheritance now.
The first of three
Ellen's first glimpse that morning of the grey-faced
Yeah,
lodger brought the steepest
so
night's
I'm
warm
guessing
terror
that we
full
have
to
to
the
find
surface.
all the keys to the vault
But on the next instant,
and
she
just
saw
claim
the
whatever
irregular
is
helpless
inside it. That
weariness
actually
in his
sounds
eyes.
pretty
And
cool.
curiously, the terror began to pass. She found that she was hoping desperately that her fears were unfounded.
Yeah, I wonder
Earlier, she had
what
determined to
sort
tell
of
Bunting of
things
the awful convictions in her mind.
Joe
Now,
Sellers would
however,
have
she felt she must be
been
certain,
hiding in that vault.
certain before she spoke to her soul.
Come clean or I'll...
She knew there was one thing she must examine. That was the lodger's single piece of luggage. She'd thought of it often. What could it hold? Not much in the way of clothing,
That'll
surely. It
be
was
nice
too
then.
small, too
Excuse
too
my
narrow.
skepticism, but what
was
the
more
fuck
like a
am I
case.
supposed to make of this? Some old coot
Case
bites me,
for a
says
knife.
I inherited this stash.
Pretty sure lucky
Even
day.
if it's a con, it's shit. He expects me to go digging
It was along
through
toward
fuck knows
noon
what
that Ellen
kind of
found
shitholes
opportunity
get
to
some
search the
keys.
lodger's room.
Fuck that.
Okay,
Soon after
I'll
Bunting
do
left
it.
to meet Daisy, Mr. Sleuth
This is
himself
the
walked from the
stuff
house.
that my character
Ellen
lives
watched the
for.
tall, thin figure in the black Inverness cape disappear down the street, and then she rushed upstairs into the room. Quickly, she
Still,
moved to
I
the
have
closet.
no way of
It was
knowing
no
if he's
different from what the
just
door
an
was then,
asshole.
utterly empty.
He's what I
She found
think
nothing under the
he is.
bed. She went
It's
then to the chest of drawers against the wall.
could be
She
worth
opened the
my
top
time.
drawer and found inside nothing but a frayed shirt, two handkerchiefs. The next
vortex.
drawer,
Yeah, I'm hoping for a lot of gear.
There remained then only one possible place,
Graff
the small
scabs
narrow
the shit
bag,
out
the
of
bottom
everything.
drawer, and it was locked.
It'd be fun to undercut. I'm
Tugging
not
at the
opposed
door,
to
she heard suddenly
investigating
the opening of the
this, and
front
I'd be
door
willing to split some
downstairs.
of the goods if you
Panic.
help
I mean, I
out.
wonder
She rushed out of the room and down the
how
hall
Joe
to
didn't
the
have all the
Only thing
keys
is that I'm under contract to West Side.
on his person. I mean,
There's something
I don't know where the other
fiend
two
about
are.
it.
to see you. And
I don't know where they
Well,
get the
whatever's the
manpower,
matter?
but fiends keep coming out of the
Quite
woodwork.
Oh,
Even though
Well,
badass bounty hunters killed
I'm
some
all
of the
right.
ringleaders,
Yep,
I wasn't
I was
seems
probably
someone
one of
else is
those.
still
I
being
No, you don't know how
wiped
fine it
out
is to be back, Mother Ellen.
Rumor
like a
has it
whole
Oh, the
some
country's
strong
all right
village
in its
doctor
way.
has the
Of women's
There's
fiends
nothing
all
like
drug-fueled
London now,
holy
is
war
there?
against
no,
West Side.
no, there isn't.
But as long
It
as that
seems he's
adventure's
holed up
about,
in the old
I can see we're going to have to
Hoffman
do
mine
something
just
about
west
these
of
blonde
here.
locks
If you can
sailing.
take him
Oh,
out,
don't worry about
if the
that.
fiends are
I'll
neutralized,
die
I
him
should be
maybe.
clear of my duties
Or just
here.
pin
At
him
least
under my hat.
I have to
Oh,
start.
looks like
Maybe
it looks like we have to do something busy
Oh,
right
now, Father,
before.
isn't that just like her?
Afterward, we
She's
can
straight to
along
the
with
point.
us.
And no fun.
Well, I bet a sixpence you'll have a dust cloth in your head before you've
Good.
got your coat
There's a
off.
few things I was holding on to. I should have to
C4
Mrs.
and a
Bunting, I
detonator.
see my door is open.
Oh, we were just leaving, so we...
Does this mean that all of you have been in my room?
Well,
not
looks
at all,
like
sir.
that's just
What must I
more
do?
stuff
Keep
to
it locked?
sell.
But you see, sir, I was just
Never
tidying up
touched
a bit,
explosives
and
yet.
Mr. Bunting, he's brought his daughter up, sir. She just
Oh,
arrived.
goodness.
This is Daisy, sir.
It's like we're
Pleased to meet
over encumbered
you, sir.
already.
She's been away for quite a
Let's
long
just wear
while,
the
you see, Mr.
backpack.
Susan. That's why we're a bit excited, you
50
might
extra
say.
Yes, you
pounds
must
so
have been
useful.
surprised when you came in, hearing us laughing and carrying on.
Yeah, I'll
that
take
way.
the hit to the
Yes,
agility.
I must say I was. However, Miss Daisy, there are all types of joy, are there not?
Yes, I'm sure there are.
Yeah,
Despicable
the
evil,
rest
joy
of this
of
time
the
is going to be
abandoned,
me
and the
looting all
divine
these
happiness of the
corpses.
blessed. A vast difference, that. You do understand me, don't you?
Why, yes,
I mean, there must have
Yes,
been like
Mr. Stewart.
20
About
of
the
them in
hopes of Miss
total.
Daisy.
I think I
Nowadays,
saw
there are so
some of
very
the
few young
militia
women like yourself
picking
who
up
do. In fact,
weapons, which
I
is-
all but despaired
I
ever of
hope they
finding
haven't
one.
picked up all the good stuff.
If you'll excuse us now, sir, we'll be getting Daisy's things put
Of
away.
course, Mrs. Bunting, and I must be getting to my room. Good evening, Miss Daisy. It's been a
knife,
revelation to meet you.
a shotgun.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, plasma repeater. This thing looks amazing.
He's a queer
I'm
one,
not sure
all
if this is
right.
new or what.
Such a gentleman. He-
Let's just have a look at it. So look at
At
that.
that moment, Ellen had been determined to pour out her terrible knowledge, and then the
That
moment
is
passed by.
pretty cool.
She told herself that perhaps the past few days had been nothing more than a grim illusion, a tormenting play of imagination.
It kind of looks
would
like
wait
it
then
would
until she
shoot
attended the coroner's
electricity
inquest
instead of
into the last
those
avenger
little
murder.
plasma bolts.
There, perhaps,
Kinda
she
looks
would
like
get
the
evidence to
Wunderwaffe
disprove all her fears, to assure her there was no earthly harm in
Call of
Daisy
Duty
being so near the
Zombies,
lodger.
I think. That's
This
what it
was
looks
her
like.
gravest concern now, for on the next day,
I'm not
Mrs.
sure
Booth
though.
made it a point to see the girl more than once. And
I
fearfully,
need to hand some
Ellen
stuff
saw that
over.
Daisy welcomed his visits. As Ellen was preparing to step out to the inquest, she heard once more the voices of her stepdaughter and the lodger.
Does Edie even have a
Coming to her through the
melee
kitchen
option? I
door.
think he does, but I wouldn't.
She hesitated before entering,
I have no idea what that would
tense,
entail. I mean, what would he use?
strangely apprehensive.
I do believe this is it. I've never known a gentleman with such a funny idea. Oh, Mother Ellen,
Repair this
You should hear what Mr.
homemade
Sleuth was just
SMG.
saying.
I think that's the one you can actually craft
You think
at a
people,
workbench.
and especially girls,
I think
should
I've
spend
added
all
that
their
in with
time
one of my
playing?
mods.
I sought to explain, Mrs. Bunting, that all women are placed
Actually, I'll
on
just
this earth
keep these so
filled
I
with
can
evil.
repair my
They
gear
therefore must
later on.
struggle constantly to find the paths of righteousness.
Why, Mr. Sleuth, you mean a girl's not
Actually,
to enjoy life
let's
at all?
repair
Just
this
to have
plasma
fun?
repeater.
Frivolity, my
I
child,
already
is the
have a
devil's
plasma
breeding
rifle
ground,
back home.
and all his implements are there. Temptation, pleasure, wine.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I'm gonna
crazy. Well, there's nothing I like better
put
than a
that
glass
to a
of
hotkey
wine.
instead.
And I'm...
You drink.
She didn't know what she was saying, Mrs. Sleuth. Just a child, and Daisy, you better go now.
Actually, I may just use
There's
this
nothing wrong.
because
What's the
I
harm
have
in a
more
glass
ammo
of
for
wine?
it.
She lieth in wait as for a prey, and increaseth the transgressors among men.
Metal
I
armor, I
don't know
might
what
just
you
drop
mean.
it.
I never heard such nonsense.
You call Holy Scripture nonsense?
It's worth quite a lot
So
though,
what I
actually.
prayed against is true. You are beyond salvation.
That's not so. I'm a good girl, I am, and I won't have you saying that.
Daisy, go into the front room.
Quite all right, Mrs. Bunting.
So I
I'll be
think
going
that's all the
upstairs anyway.
stuff there is to loot.
I'm used to being misunderstood, you know.
Actually, there's a couple
People
more
never
bits
realize that my
involved.
efforts are simply for the greater good of humanity,
Of course.
and that the power on high will direct my hand toward the expulsion of all evil.
Daisy, listen to
Another
me.
plasma repeater.
I've got to tell you about
About what, Mother Ellen?
nothing.
Nope, I think that's
I've got
about
to go
it.
out for a while now. I'll be back.
Should have a look at that operator hat. It's kind of cool. Sort of covers your entire face.
The moment to reveal the secret horror had
Except
come
for the
again and
eyes.
passed. Erin's
What's
sudden
this?
recollection of Mr. Sleuth as he stood in the doorway had overwhelmed
It looks
her.
exactly
She
the
must
same,
give
actually.
him this last chance, this last frantic search for disproving evidence, this trip to the inquest.
Yeah, I'll
If
just
that chance should
keep
fail,
my...
then she would tell Bunting. or the
That gives you
police.
a +2 to
So with the
perception.
knowledge that Bunting was left in the
That's
house to look
quite
after Daisy,
overpowered,
she boarded the
now that I
underground
think
train
about
bound
it.
for the coroner's court.
I mean, my cowboy hat
But
only
as
gives
the
me
train pulled away
+1,
from the
but
station,
I still prefer
a
the
new
looks
torture
of
came to
keeping that
her,
on.
began to mount in her mind. It was the sudden
Yeah,
realization that provided
next
Sleuth
up
was the
we
murderer,
have to take out
she
some
was equally
fiends,
responsible
which
for his
I'll
crimes.
do next time.
She had been giving him
So yeah, quite a short part today. Hopefully next time I'll be able to get through more of it.
If anything should happen to Daisy, she would be equally
But I kind of have
guilty.
to go get something to eat for dinner and stuff.
Fully
So
as guilty as.
yeah,
The
see you
Avenger.
guys later. Bye.
Ellen, seated at the rear of the small but crowded inquest room, listened to each of the witnesses as they were called. And from one of them she found the first hope she had known for many days. This witness lived next to the alley in which the Avenger had committed his crime that night. She had seen him from her window, and the man she described in no way resembled Ellen's lodger. But in another moment, Ellen's hope was swept away. It was pointed out that the fog had been so heavy that night that the witness could not possibly have seen the murderer from her window. She left the stand, replaced by a Mr. Cannot. This elderly gentleman was certain that he had not only seen, but talked with the Avenger. It was in Regent's Park, he testified, only a few moments before
the murder, Mr. Coroner. When I saw him, he was quite a tall man, very gaunt-looking, and carrying a handbag.
A handbag, you say?
Yes, a small, narrow one. Just such a bag, I might add, as might contain a knife.
As Ellen heard these words, the tension which had been mounting up within her became almost unbearable. Rigid with horror, she gripped the arms of her chair. She heard the coroner.
I shall have to ask for more order in the court. And now, Mr. Kenneth, I understand you heard this man speak.
Oh, yes. He had a rather high, hesitating voice. An educated man, I would judge, but quite mad.
What do you mean by that?
Well, as he emerged from the fog, he was talking aloud to himself. Believe me, sir, he was reciting scriptures from the Bible.
Scriptures from the Bible. Horrified, Ellen rose from her seat, only half hearing the confusion about her.
Are you asking us to believe, I would say, Mr. Kenneth, that the man we're looking for would be least of all a religious man?
And that's where you're in error, Mr. Coroner. The religious note is the very key to the case.
Very interesting. That'll be all, Mr. Kenneth.
Just a moment, sir. Don't you understand? The man you're after must be a religious maniac. That's the only explanation possible.
You will please stand down.
The court was dismissing the very truth. Ellen knew that now. She would no longer keep silent. Her hands shot forth, and she screamed.
I want to say...
Ellen Bunting, on the verge of speaking, had fainted. And then, when she was revived a few moments later, she said nothing. Her brain was in too great a turmoil, her nerves too sharp. Like one in a dream, she allowed herself to be led from the courtroom. The voices of spectators were only vague sounds to her.
She was going to say something.
Yes, it was hysterics.
Yeah, that bit about the knife.
Yeah, the knife.
The knife.
The knife. As Ellen Bunting proceeded homeward, the remarks from the spectators remained in her mind. She heard them over and over.
That bit about the knife. Just such a bag as might contain a knife.
We'll see she stays close in the house, eh? No harm in being safe.
Direct my hand toward the expulsion of all evil. Expulsion of all evil.
What's the harm in a glass of wine? I didn't say nothing wrong.
As Ellen neared her neighborhood, her dread increased. With each moving footstep, the grip of terror grew tighter, tighter about her. She moved faster, faster. Before she was in time, she was 2 streets away from the house. Then one. Then she saw Bunting. Sharply, like the thrust of a knife, she realized what this meant. Daisy was left alone with the lodger.
Bunting!
What is it?
Oh, Bunting, tell me, Bunting. Where's Daisy? Where is she? I say, where?
Well, at home.
Oh, listen to me. Try to understand. Sleuth is the Avenger.
What are you saying?
Oh, Lodger, he's the Avenger, Bunting. Oh, but there's no time for that. Daisy's in danger. Hurry! Hurry!
Yes. Daisy! Daisy!
Here we are, Bunting. Here we are.
Daisy!
Oh, Daisy! Daisy, where are you? I look in the kitchen, Bunting. You tried the sitting room. Daisy!
Daisy!
Where are you, Daisy?
Answer me! Daisy!
Oh,
By the bedroom.
she's not here. What about the dining room?
Look, she's not there. She's not downstairs.
Then there's just his room. Go on. Open the door.
Okay, Mr. Hitchcock. Crack, cut, and clear.
Did you say cut? What's the idea, Hitch? I've a few more lines to do.
As Mr. Marshall, the narrator, you have. Not as Mr. Sleuth, the lodger.
Hitch, you can't stop the play right here. It isn't fair, you know.
Why isn't it, Bart? What more is there to say?
Mr. Hitchcock, won't people want to know what Bunting and me found in the room?
All right, Ellen. What precisely did you find?
Well, nothing, sir.
There. You see? Nothing. No lodger, no Bible. And that locked dresser drawer. What about that?
We unlocked it, sir.
And what was in it?
Nothing, sir.
You are certain, Mrs. Bunting?
Oh, you gave me quite a turn, Mr. Mr. Marshall. Yes, sir, I'm sure, sir. There was nothing.
Oh, begging your pardon, Mr. Hitchcock, but don't you think we'd better just mention about Daisy?
I don't know, Bunting. What do you think we ought to say?
Oh, just that the reason she wasn't in the house when Ellen and me got there was, well, she'd gone out for a walk, that's all.
Did she enjoy it?
Oh, very much, sir. Made it to King's Cross and back in just under an hour, sir.
Splendid time, Bunting. Well, there you are, Bart. There's the story.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Hitchcock. You can't do that. That's not the story.
Of course it's not. Now, look here, Hitch. Here's the fellow who composed and conducted all our music, Wilbur Hatch. He wants to know about this, too. Everybody does.
All right, Bart. What is it they want to know?
What became of Mr. Sleuth?
Oh, him. Why, he left that afternoon. They never saw him again. And now I think we ought to say something about the Columbia
Mr.
forecast so
Hitchcock,
far.
sir, will you please...
Stop him, Mr. Marshall.
Hitch, listen to me.
Yes? What is it?
They want to know when the Avenger finally was caught.
Oh, well, let me ask you something, Bart. Are you acquainted with Loretta Young?
Yes, what's that got to do with it?
Well, in next week's Columbia Preview series, Miss Young will take the starring role in the drama of an American Red Cross nurse. That's good news, isn't it?
Oh, that's great. But now listen, Hitch, you've just got to tell that audience exactly when and how Mr. Sleuth was caught.
Caught? Why on earth should he be caught?
Why? Well, he was the Avenger, wasn't he?
Was he?
Your guess, gentle listener, is as good as ours. Even Mrs. Belloc Lowndes, who wrote the novel, isn't entirely sure. For his masterful direction, our thanks to Alfred Hitchcock, whose latest pictures are David O. Selznick's Rebecca and Walter Wanger's Foreign Correspondent. For his superb characterization of Mr. Sleuth, our thanks to Herbert Marshall. And our thanks to the outstanding British character actor who tonight portrayed the role of Bunting, Edmund Gwen. If you liked tonight's program and want to hear more in the same highly original Hitchcock vein, radio versions of The Lady Vanishes and The 39 Steps, for example, write to CBS and tell us so. Your interest will help bring Suspense to the air as a weekly feature. Forecast next week presents from Hollywood, Loretta Young in Angel, first of a proposed series based on the adventures and the romance of a typical Red Cross nurse. From New York, a new sort of comedy show. Ed Gardner as Archie in Duffy's Tavern, with Gertrude Neeson, Colonel Stoopnagle, Larry Adler, and John Kirby's orchestra. Don't miss Forecast at this hour next week. Thomas P. Benson speaking. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.